actually perfectly into our next topic, which is we are about 10 days away from probably the craziest recruiting weekend in the history of Nebraska football. I mean, especially when you consider, I don't know what some of Osborne's recruiting weekends look like before the star system and the recruiting rankings and all that stuff was in place. I have no idea.
You should have remembered. You were alive.
But as far as since recruiting rankings have been in place, this is most definitely the most loaded recruiting weekend we've ever had. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. There's black shirts. Don't need the audio. Share. Okay. So let me go ahead and go through a couple of these. So we got Dylan Raiola. He is the number one player in the country, and he has been for a while. For some reason, we talked about this on 3, re-rated him to the number 6, but doesn't matter. He's the number one quarterback in the country, and he's a legacy Nebraska player. So we have 3 5-stars here at the top. 3 5-stars here at the top. And then this Brandon Baker guy. Let's see. Are you on this page now? No. Share this tab instead. There we go. Boom. Then we got Brandon Baker, who's an offensive tackle, just confirmed visiting today. And look at it, number one offensive tackle in the country. So you're looking at a class or a 1 weekend where you have 3 5-stars, 15 4-stars, 5 of which Raiola, which one? Jacob Smith, Carter Nelson, Davon Hall, I believe this Gatlin Blair, Idaho. Those are all those players I just named are the number one player in the state of their state, and it's just like it. You know us, we don't normally talk recruiting in depth like this, but you can't not look at this. I mean, you can't not acknowledge it. It's crazy.
And I want you to look at something too. So Nebraska is obviously on all these guys' lists. And if you look at some of them, what other schools are on these guys' lists? Teams that have been having really good years or legacy programs like Bama, Ohio State, Oklahoma. Like, to be like thrown in for these guys has to be something that like the coach says, like that Rule is pitching them, mixed with I think I might like Nebraska, or I've liked Nebraska my whole life. So those are the like kind of like microcosms that I think are working here. But it's really interesting to see some of these guys that are getting offers from these other great schools. And it's not saying like all these guys are going to be Huskers, because they're not. But it's just kind of cool to see that from a losing program to be able to be in the conversation.
Yep.
Imagine if we could string together 3 10-win seasons.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it takes to turn it around.
Yeah. Well, and you're talking about Matt Rule's pitch. Well, we just essentially touched on a major point of it, I guarantee, which is that he's got 30-plus players that are still playing in the NFL today. Mm-hmm. Or either that, okay, let me make sure I get the fact right. It's either 30-plus players that are still, it's one of these, and it's facts. It's either 30-plus players that are still playing in the NFL today or 30-plus players that have been drafted. It's one of those two things. I don't know which one's more impressive. Arguably, either. Drafted is pretty impressive. But still playing in the NFL is arguably more, because then you're training people to be NFL players, which is also part of his shtick. Either way, he has a lot of players in the NFL. So that's definitely part of his pitch. But I think the other aspect of this that I don't hear a whole lot of people talking about, I think the reason this recruiting weekend has gotten so crazy and the numbers have just gotten so insane is because who talks to the most recruits? Let me ask you this. Who talks to the most recruits?
The recruiting coordinator.
Recruits talk to the most recruits. The other recruits. You know what I'm saying? And who's the biggest recruit in the country? Legacy Nebraska player, Dylan Raiola. So my theory on this, Dylan Raiola seems like he's already peer recruiting to Nebraska. Now, it could be he's peer recruiting to wherever he commits, and that's really what he's trying to do. But it really seems like he's peer recruiting to Nebraska, which has had a lot of people have the idea that, is he already, ghost committed back through the back door and nobody knows yet, which based on his social media activity and how he's sort of announced things and before would actually make a lot of sense. He doesn't seem like the type to, he'll have a reporter break his news for him instead of him breaking his own news. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll see, but it's interesting to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that's another element in this is Dylan Raiola has been peer recruiting, man.
Yeah, I think you're getting out over your skis a little bit prematurely, which, I understand it. It's
Hey, that's
easy.
what they
It's
call
easy.
me.
Yeah,
Premature.
premature. Listen, it's easy. It's easy to get ahead of that just because of his last name and the legacy that has at Nebraska. Like you said, his family is ingrained in the school. He obviously grew up watching that. So it's easy. It's easy to have that kind of notion of, oh, it's a done deal. Now that we're back in the mix and we new coach, new system, obviously likes it. His uncle's still here. It's easy. It's really, really easy. But please calm down, because after this weekend, if something happens and he's not that we're gonna know, but after this weekend anyways. But I'm just saying, temper your expectations. You've been hurt too many times.
I have. I've been hurt so many times. I'm numb at this point, so I don't care. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
It seems like Dylan is going to commit sometime soon. I just have that read. It just feels like sometime soon, especially if it's going to be Nebraska. I believe it'll be in the next couple weeks if it's going to be Nebraska, but we'll see. Definitely before May. So let me ask you this. Just predict. Let's just give a little. This might be our last opportunity to do it. Let's just go. Where do you think he's going to go? He's got 4 schools that are really on his radar. Supposedly, Oregon's joined the party recently, so it's USC, Georgia, Nebraska, and Oregon. I am going to go ahead and lay down if I was a reporter, this would be an 8 out of 10 crystal ball. I'm going to go ahead and lay down my Brooks crystal ball for Dylan Raiola to commit to Nebraska.
Okay. Well, you just completely submitted that he's not going to. If you've known your betting record, if everybody else knew your betting record, we would go out
Don't
of
bring
business.
it up.
We would
Don't
never.
bring-
We would. I'm just fully going to just bet against you this next year, and I will make a fortune.
For those who don't know, I have a account on Brothrow. I do bets on there. It's something through Corn Crazed, and I won my first 2 bets, two out of my first 3, or something like that, and I've lost my last 13 bets.
It's been kind of funny. It's been like a death nail to people that I've been rooting for. Like
I don't know anything about college basketball, man. That's really what this is.
Or the NFL, because
True.
you didn't pick the Eagles the entire playoff run, and guess what? You picked them during the Super Bowl, and what happens?
Man, I was so comfortable the first half of that game too. I was so comfy. I was like, I'm gonna win this. I think I bet like 50 or something like that. I don't have a problem. I'm not betting much. 25 here, 25 there, stuff like that. Nothing crazy, but yeah, I'm not on a hot streak. So okay, so you're not picking Nebraska. Where do you think he goes? You think he goes to Oregon? You think he goes to SC, or you think he goes to Georgia?
I'm going to. I'm going to say something that I'm actually kind of not a little embarrassed by. I didn't know Stetson Bennett was leaving Georgia for some reason. I don't know why. I have no clue why. I didn't know he was going to the NFL.
Cornhusker Corner, where we only talk about Nebraska.
No, for some reason, I remember when I was watching the playoff games, they were talking about him, and this announcer said and he has a year left or something like that.
Because nobody thinks he's going to get drafted, I guess. So, maybe he had a year left if he wanted it. Maybe.
Yeah, I guess. He had a good workout too, by the way.
Yeah, he did.
But yeah, so I didn't know that he was going to be gone. But I'm not going to pick Georgia. I actually do think he's going to look at the proven track record of getting to the NFL by way of Lincoln Riley, and I think that's where he's going to go.
Yeah.
it makes too much damn sense not to.
No, yeah.
He's had one guy since he's been a head coach, since he's been a head coach that hasn't really turned out as good as everyone thought he was going to be, in Spencer Rattler, and that turned out to be more of an attitude problem than a talent issue or a coaching issue.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams is one of the best college quarterbacks of past decade, I think, just to how you see him play. I mean,
I'm there with you. I mean, if I had to choose anybody that wasn't Nebraska, it would be USC for sure.
plus it's Southern California. It's nice weather.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, it's a war zone. You go to certain parts, and I mean, like literally, like LA's crazy. Like there's some areas that are nice, but there's a lot of areas that feel like you're in Mad Max. I mean, and
like the opening scene from Predator 2.
Yeah. Or I always say Escape from LA. I mean, Snake Plissken. That's just kind of what it looks like. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, it's funny to me that you use the example of Spencer Rattler, though, because, attitude problem. And then where does he go? Oh, South Carolina, where, what happens? He does a lot better. And then where is his offensive coordinator now? Oh, Nebraska.
I know that.
Yeah, so we're doing a little bit of a coach-player relationship math there, but still, I just have a gut feeling, and as we've established, my gut feelings haven't led me very well these last couple months, but I just have a gut feeling he's going to Nebraska, man.
Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, and Caleb Williams. You look at those are the quarterbacks that team has had.
No, yeah, I agree. Okay. No, I agree. Like if it was pure, like you got to think about it this way though. What if it were you? What if it were you? If you were the number one quarterback in the country, and you had your pick of QB wizard Lincoln Riley or playing at freaking Memorial Stadium. You know what I mean? And I truly think that these are the thoughts that go through his brain.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, first off, I don't have to imagine that. I have a wet dream about that every week. Just one. But no, you're right. It just depends on how you're viewing your college career. What school do you want to go to? Because academic wise, is Nebraska a better school than USC? Not particularly. They both are pretty prestigious in terms of their academics, in terms of the level. They're pretty comparable. Maybe USC has a little bit more. I'm trying to be nice.
They're not UCLA. Let me put it that way. They're not UC, but they're not. But Nebraska is a bit of an academic runt in the Big Ten. I'm not trying to crap on them too much. They're a great school, but the Big Ten is an elite academic conference at this point.
Yeah. But so if you look at it from like that way, it's easy to see either side, but it just depends on how he views Nebraska, really, because if you're a college student or a high school player looking to go to college, you've worked your entire life to get to that next level. You're not looking most of the time for the NFL. You're just looking at the next one and next one, just being as good as you can be. And if that team that you were thinking about when you were 12 years old, trying to perfect your spiral, and then, throughout middle school, high school, working on your footwork when everyone else had left the field, if you were imagining yourself playing for Nebraska, then you're picking Nebraska. But if you didn't have a school that you were looking up to and you just wanted to go anywhere, what are you thinking about? So that's something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but you look at that picture of Dylan and his brother with his dad on the field wearing jerseys when they were, probably 6 and 8 years old, probably around that age. And it paints a picture of exactly what you're talking about. I believe Dylan Raiola probably was that kid who was 12 years old, perfecting his spiral, thinking about being quarterback for Nebraska. I think he was, and that's why I make that prediction. But